evening, a growing number of families are being forced to take their local authority to court to get the care they need for their children. One mother spent £5,000 on legal fees after Surrey County Council took away services from her son who has autism. Ofsted and the Care Quality Commission has been highly critical of the lack of support given by the authority. Here's Sam Holder.
Playing on the trampoline helps Kian calm down. His autism, dyspraxia and language processing disorders make learning a challenge, so he goes to a specialist school where he receives therapy to help him interact.
I notice it with how my behaviour improves and how other people notice my behaviour improves, and my communication too. Because now, recently, I've been telling Mum that I've been making some friends at school, and I think that's the result. I think that's a result of the speech and language therapy.
But in 2015, Surrey County Council said Kian didn't need the therapy. They changed his diagnosis and care plan, even though nobody actually met with him.
They took away all his speech and language support and all his occupational therapy support and many of his diagnoses, and that would have left him unable to learn. So I appealed against that and took them to tribunal to get the support reinstated. And I won. The financial impact was large. I had to pay for the assessments out of my own pocket.
It cost Alicia £5,000 to take Surrey to court. The judge said the council had been unreasonable. And Alicia's not alone. A joint Care Quality Commission and Ofsted inspection has heavily criticised Surrey for how it provides support for children with disabilities and special needs. Well, in this letter sent to Surrey County Council, they described significant areas of weaknesses and that parents had an overwhelming lack of confidence in Surrey. Many face continuing difficulties in even getting their children assessed. And like Alicia, there are high rates of parents taking the council to tribunal due to inadequate care plans. A large proportion of those are successful. Inspectors also raised concerns that increasing numbers of children with special needs are being excluded or missing school. Tanya Tiraoro writes the influential Special Needs Jungle blog, which helps parents understand their rights.
Surrey County Council is undoubtedly one of the worst, I think, in special needs legal circles. It's not really that difficult to make a better service for parents in Surrey. All they have to do is to listen to parents, to not come at it from an adversarial angle.
Surrey County Council wouldn't take part in an interview, but say the education and care of children with special needs and disabilities is of paramount importance and that they're already putting in place a series of improvements. Surrey has been ordered by Ofsted and the Care Quality Commission to produce a written plan explaining how it will improve. Something that will surely come as good news to parents.
In other news tonight, 2 women have been charged in connection with the death of a woman in Portsmouth. Nadine Burden, who was 36, died from stab wounds on Toronto Road on Saturday. Victoria Arthur, who's 43 and from the city, has been charged with her murder. 52-year-old Julie Parker, who's also from Portsmouth, has been charged with assisting an offender. The Queen Alexandra Hospital in Portsmouth has made improvements since the A&E department was rated as inadequate last year. But there's still a long way to go. Louise Lewis has been following the story and she joins us now. Louise, what did inspectors find at the latest visit?
Yes, well, Stacey, there's certainly been an improvement. They've been moved from inadequate to requires improvement, but they still have not achieved a good or outstanding rating, which every hospital is aiming for. Well, today, the chief executive of the hospital, Tim Powell, gave this reaction.
Testimony to the staff, I think, in terms of all the hard work that they've done and partners across the system, that we've been able to move from a rating of inadequate that we talked about some months ago to now an area where we need improvement. But we would still recognise that it's improvement we still need to make. Our partners would recognise that, in particular South Central Ambulance Service, and our staff would recognise that.
Well, when the CQC inspected the hospital last year, their findings were alarming. Up to 16 ambulances were queuing around the hospital and vulnerable patients were left on trolleys and in corridors for hours on end. On 11 occasions, there were no ambulances available to respond to 999 calls. But those in charge say they are addressing these issues.
We'll continue to put all of our focus and all of our efforts into making sure that we do everything possible to support our staff and support the patients that rely on our services. And that the commitment from me, my board and all of the team here at the Queen Alexandra Hospital is to make sure that we get that improvement that we need to be a good, or if not outstanding, hospital.
Well, we'll continue to follow the hospital's progress along with the Care Quality Commission.
Lewis, thanks very much for that update. Prosecutors will decide whether Katie Bourne, the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner, should face criminal charges over allegations she made a false statement about her expenses during last year's election. Her office said it will be inappropriate to comment until the matter has concluded. The government has refused to give schools in West Sussex any emergency funding. Head teachers and local MPs met the schools minister at Westminster today asking for an extra £20 million.
The impact at the moment is devastating for us as schools. We have to go back, we have to regroup, we want to meet with our MPs again. We need to keep pushing forward still and to get them to understand that this funding is necessary for us.
And finally tonight, the Duchess of Cornwall was in the region today as she officially took up her new role as patron of Battersea Dogs and Cats Home. Her Royal Highness met staff and animals at the centre and even brought along her own dogs, which were rescued by the charity. Kate Bunkle was also there.
The Duchess of Cornwall arrives in a very rainy Old Windsor to meet the staff of Battersea Dogs and Cats Home. And she proved herself a natural with some of the residents who'd lined up in a doggy guard of honour to meet the royal guest. She wasn't bothered by a few muddy paw prints on her coat. Her Royal Highness was given a tour of the centre, meeting lots of the animals on the way, including Duke, who arrived 4 weeks ago and is looking for a new home.
She seemed quite interested in Duke. He's a lovely, friendly dog, so he was quite happy to say hello to her as well. She just asked how he got here and what his rehomability is like.
In the cattery, she held 9-month-old Luna, who was brought to Battersea when her owner could no longer afford to care for her.
The patrons spent plenty of time in the cattery, walking through, talking to the staff and also asking about individual cats. And she even spent time in one of our chill-out rooms with one of our really special kittens, holding her and just getting to know her a little bit.
After her tour, the Duchess met Battersea ambassadors Amanda Holden and David Gandy. Before she left, there was a brief chance to enjoy a little dog agility demonstration.
Today it's been announced that the Duchess of Cornwall will succeed the Queen as the royal patron of Battersea Dogs and Cats Home. It has a particularly special place in her heart as her own 2 dogs were rescued by the charity.
The Duchess is very much an animal lover. She's so well celebrated for her knowledge of dogs, cats and all animals really. She's certainly always very interested when she comes to Battersea. She knows her stuff, and of course she has 2 Battersea Jack Russells, one of which was from the Windsor site. So it was coming home for her. She was, and in fact she did bring them with her. So yeah, she really does know what she's doing. She certainly doesn't mind getting covered in dog hairs and muddy paw prints, and we can all testify for the dog hairs.
In fact, one of the royal dogs, Beth, even had a try over the course herself. Kate Bunkle, ITV News, Old Windsor.
Well, it was a bit damp there today, but are things going to improve? With all the weather details tonight, here is Simon Parkin.